Happy Cinco de Mayo. Welcome to our celebration of life today. Our musicians are the Snake Oil Medicine Show Band with Trey Grayfus. Our opening song is Pastors of Plenty, found in the Pink Book on page 58.
Pastures of plenty from dry desert ground, from the grand flowing dam where the water runs down. Every state of this union my migrants have been. Come with the dust and we're gone with the wind. It's always we ramble that river and round. All along your green valleys I'll work till I die. I'll travel this road until death sets me free. The pastures of plenty must always be free. It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands have hoed. My poor feet have traveled this hot, dusty road. On the edge of your cities you'll see me, and then come with the dust and I'm gone.
Thank you, and I'm sorry, Craig, could you introduce the band?
Sure. This is Caroline and George. They were here just about a year ago we did this. And also a year ago and last night we put on a concert with Ted's band, the Spirit Bones, in Ted's backyard last night. Anyway, and they've been doing this band for more than 30 years. Amazing. Oh, you should hear the whole band. I mean, it's like a big rock and roll thing.
Not fun.
All right, thank you. Welcome to the First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. We are a spiritual community philosophically based on existentialist and feminist principles dedicated to human liberation and protection of the natural world. We make our spiritual home in the old stone church, which was hand-built more than 100 years ago by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African Americans from the area, and we honor them and the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all indigenous people. Poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
If we can conquer space, we can conquer childhood hunger. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin. If anyone has community announcements, would you please, write them down on the cards that are on the table there behind the last row and bring them up, and I'll read them in a few minutes. Are there any newcomers here today, or someone who hasn't been here for a long time? And if so, would you like to stand and introduce yourselves?
We have with us today our daughter Sarah and our son-in-law Adriel.
Welcome.
I'm Megan. It's my first time. Just wanted to come check out. I live in Redford.
Welcome. I'd like to point out that there is a connection card on the bulletin this morning, and you could, if you'd like to fill that out and find out more about us, or be sure to do that and leave it on the back table. I'd like to say that if you do sign up, you can receive our weekly e-blast sent out by our outreach coordinator, Sarah Brew, and the newsletter put out monthly by our editor, Jan Lister. Does anyone have a birthday or an anniversary to celebrate today? Lily.
The big 7-0.
Welcome to the club.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
singing. Our next song is God Bless the Grass. It's also...
I picked this because it mentions me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's on page 73 in the pink book. Go ahead.
I picked this because it mentions poor and being poor. Oh yes, and I've said this before, I took Malvina Reynolds, who wrote this, and I took a children's song workshop in 1977 out in Oregon with her. They're like, she was like a legend already. God bless the grass. It's going to be like that. And it's very open sort of.
God bless the grass that grows through the cracks. They roll the concrete over it to try to keep it back. The concrete gets tired of what it has to do. It breaks and it buckles and the grass grows through. And God bless the grass. God bless the truth that fights for the sun. They roll the lies over and think that it's done. It moves through the ground and reaches for the air. And after a while, it's growing everywhere. And God bless the grass. God bless the grass that grows through cement. It's green and it's tender, it's easily bent. But after a while, it lifts up its head. For the grass is living and the stone is dead. And God bless the grass. God bless the grass that's gentle and low. Its roots, they are deep and its will is to grow. And God bless the truth, the friend of the poor. And the wild grass is growing for the poor folks' door. And God bless the grass.
I know some of us aren't keen on God around here, and but I noticed that all the agency is with the grass here. God gets to bless it.
At this time, we'd like to invite our fellowship minister, Reverend Marcia Mitzner, to come forward and share her thoughts of the day.
Good morning, everyone. How great to see you all. It's wonderful to have everyone here. And it's such a beautiful day outside. I hope that you have something planned that you can enjoy the nature. And how fortunate we are to be here in Atlanta and be able to appreciate the beauty that we have here in the city. I hope that you are all aware that it is election time. And even though this is not what people think of as a big election, this is, one of those mid kind of elections, every election is important. And every seat is important. Right now, there's a judgeship that's up for contention. There are all kinds of county positions that are up, other kind of court positions. It is so important that we think about democracy. Two of the greatest rights that we have in a democracy freedom of speech and the right to vote. You can't have one without the other, I don't think. And if we don't vote, we may not have the right of freedom to speech. And if we don't stand up for what we believe in, then we may lose those. So I know there are a lot of students right now, and others, that are protesting. And they have every right to protest, and we need to support their right to protest, as long as it is a non-violent, kind of protest. I hope that you will make sure there is early voting going on right now. The actual vote is May the 21st. So please do not let this go by. It is an important election, just like every other election, even if we don't think of it as a big election. And also to think about, there's so many people that are suffering in this world. There are still millions of people in Gaza that are suffering terribly. There are people in Ukraine that are suffering. There are people all over the world that are suffering. There are people right here in Atlanta that are suffering. So please, in your heart, hold those people and do whatever it is that you can, if it is to make a donation to someplace, or if it is to write letters to your representatives to try to support particular organizations. Whatever it is, there are things that every one of us can do. It's just a matter of deciding, what is the best way for you to do it. But I hope that you will consider doing whatever it is that you can do, and it's the way that we make this place the kind of world that we want to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. We have some community announcements. Today at 4 p.m., Breaking New Ground, new dance at the Decatur Arts Festival, Old Courthouse on the Square, 2nd floor, and it's free. That's today at 4 p.m.
And it's good.
This is a concert at the Waller's Coffee House tonight at 7 p.m. It's C.J. Jones and Spirit Bones and Bambi Tidbits. And it's also featuring Billy Dunn. That's tonight at 7 p.m. at Waller's. See Ted if you need to know where Waller's is. But since you're all coffee people, you probably know.
Can I say, these guys are playing, is the whole band?
It's just us two.
You two are playing at Napoleon's this afternoon too.
At 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, that's
Thank you, Ted. I think I have that in this pile here. This is a book release celebration. It's Washed in the Hurricane by Stephen Wing. It's today at 3 p.m. at Acapello Books, which is 208 Harrelson Avenue, Northeast in Inman Park. So our friend Stephen Wing is having a book release celebration. On May 26th, Memorial Day weekend, Leon Clymore and Rick Epting will present the celebration of life with a debate/discussion entitled Life, God, the Universe, and Other Small Talk. Leon, professing to be a self-described agnostic atheist, will propound there is no God for which we have evidence. Rick Epting, as a self-described heathen, will take the counter position, offering evidence of God to undermine his agnostic, atheistic position. The debate will be uncompetitive, as little of our small talk affects the reality of life, God, animal, and or the universe. So, fun time. Bring your boxing gloves. The annual book and bake sale for First E will be on July 13th. Please start looking for books to donate and recipes to make sweets. And I think that's all for today. Here's an interesting quote by Emory Yesa, also known as Dr. Charles Alexander Eastman of the Santee Dakota Sioux. As a little child, it was instilled in me to be silent and reticent. This was thought to lay the foundation of patience and self-control. And so this is a time that we set aside for a period of silence. And if you would like to, there are candles on either side to light. And please use the time also to get coffee or whatever you may need. Our next congregational song is Garden Song, again found in the Pink Book on page 118.
I want to first find out if this key is comfortable. What do you think? Seems okay? We could change it.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, some will bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, we are made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Rain for rain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music from the land. Make your roads straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old crow watching hungrily, runs perch sun will warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
And show bands. We are a self-supported congregation, so any of your contributions, however large or small, will be appreciated.
This song is called Red Prairie Dawn. I learned it when I lived in Honolulu, Hawaii, and it was written in 1986. It's a really pretty little tune. We'd love to play it.
Our speaker for this morning, oh, go ahead.
That's right.
No, go ahead.
I just think it's so sweet.
It is. Thank you. Our speaker this morning is the Reverend Dr. Lisa Heilig, and her topic is the hunger journey. Lisa is Executive Director of the Toco Hills Community Alliance, a collaborative nonprofit in Northeast Atlanta. It provides groceries and clothing to hundreds of families each week to fulfill its mission of neighbors, helping neighbors, and to foster a sense of community in the fight against food insecurity. Lisa graduated with a Doctor of Ministry from Columbia Theological Seminary in 2018. Previously, she received a Master of Divinity degree from Candler School of Theology at Emory University. Currently, she supervises interns from Candler, as well as service learning students from Emory Medical School and the School of Nursing. Lisa has extensive experience in social service ministries, nonprofit management, leadership development, and program coordination. Additionally, she has served a number of organizations in the Southern United States, assisting them through times of transition with growth in organizational development and intentional outreach. Please welcome the Reverend Lisa Heilig.
All that introduction sounded so much better. I do want to thank you for the invitation to be here. And we owe a special thank you to Sarah Drew, who is not here. She texted me this morning saying, I'm not going to be there. I'm on a retreat And Sarah Drew was one of those Candler School of Theology interns that I had a few years ago, and just like in all the best teacher and student relationships, I am pretty sure I might have learned as much, if not more, from her as she did from me. So thank you so much for having me here. And I just also want to say one other thing, which I wouldn't say in a lot of other places, but I feel comfortable to say it here. I feel the ancestors with us this morning. I really do. Like, I really feel them this morning. So, thank you for letting me say that. And speaking of ancestors and celebrating cultures and things like that, I want to start back where we started this morning, because it's the 5th of May. It's Cinco de Mayo, so Feliz Cinco de Mayo. Which is not Mexican Independence Day. On this 5th day of May, though, I find myself thinking rather fondly of a trip I took to Mexico some years ago. Picturesque mountains and ocean, authentic food, really friendly people. More than once on this trip, though, my beautiful African-American wife of 29 years now, was taken for being a Latina many times on this trip. And she was approached by people speaking Spanish to her, thinking that that was what she would speak. But she actually really knows muy poco. Very little. And while I would not say I am fluent in Spanish, I was a pastor in una iglesia bilingüe, a bilingual church. And so I would answer back in Spanish. It seemed to be quite unexpected that my very white, the DNA proves it, my very white North American self was the one to answer in Espanol. However, the people were very kind and gracious about it and continued to keep talking to me. But likewise, my journey, this is all about my journey. Your journey may be different, so I'm just going to share from my journey. My journey of understanding hunger and poverty started with reversing my expectations. Now, I've always had a heart for the marginalized. I think my very first full sentence was, "That's not fair." Working with the marginalized and on behalf of the marginalized has been the hallmark of all the ways that my vocation has manifested itself. And so almost 6 years ago, I was hired as executive director of Toco Hills Community Alliance, which you heard about. We're one of the largest providers of food assistance in the metro area. And I found, as educated as I am, with my fancy degrees, all of my diversity training, reading all the latest in progressive theology and thought, that for me, the most significant stop on my journey of understanding hunger and poverty was to recognize that appearances not only can be, but very often are, deceiving, and then reversing my expectations. Hunger, or more accurately, food insecurity. Hunger is just that physical sensation that we all feel. It's that your body says, hey, it's time to eat. Food insecurity is being unable to access enough healthy food for your entire family to lead an active life. We might get hungry. Most of us know that even if we can't decide where we're going to go eat, we know we're going to eat. Most of us. There are people that don't, including 1 in 12 people in our region, including 1 in 10 children in the Atlanta metro region. Oh, yes. And those people and those children are in every state in our country, every county in our state, and every neighborhood in our counties. We know there is food insecurity in downtown Atlanta. We know this. But there is also food insecurity in Dunwoody and Alpharetta. In fact, the suburbs are where food insecurity is growing the fastest. About 2 years into my tenure as executive director, I was helping, as I often do, because I'm a hands-on leader. That's just what I do. I was helping distribute food, and I noticed a very nice SUV. A really nice, expensive-looking SUV. Don't know what kind, I don't know cars that well. The 2 young men in it were nicely dressed. They were brothers. They were both in college. One was at Emory, one was at little bit. Why in the world would they need food assistance? They came every week that semester, and slowly I got the story. Their parents had been well off and had gifted them this car for a graduation present. It is graduation season, so if you have the means to give somebody a car, it's awesome. The parents had since lost their business. This was near the beginning of COVID, so they lost their business. And so without further financial support from their parents, the boys were doing what they could to stay in school, including getting food from us. And that really, really, really nice SUV, one of the only things they had left, is where they were living. Since then, I have tried very, very, very hard to suspend all judgments based on nice cars and phones and jewelry and anything else. My expectations about hunger and poverty have been and continue to be put right in reverse. I had to let go of what I thought in order to see what is real. In other traditions, that would be called a confession, but we'll leave that. As I did so in my journey of understanding hunger, I began to see how pulling at that thread of food insecurity inevitably led to touching on virtually every social issue we face as a country, as a world even. So I want to try something right now. If you're up for it. Are you up for it? You game? Okay, somebody just really quickly name a social concern, and I'll see if I can make the connection to food insecurity in maybe less than 2 sentences. Just name one.
Voting.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because as I was listening to Reverend Marcia speak, I was thinking about voting in our local elections, and we're voting for people that are going to be making policies about housing, affordable housing, and about where our county dollars go. So there we go, voting. One more.
Criminal justice.
Which one? Justice somewhere? Criminal justice. Okay, so when folks ostensibly serve their sentence and they come out of prison with a couple dollars and a bus ticket and a felony record, which then doesn't allow them to work in many places and often doesn't even allow them to live in subsidized housing. So how do you think they're getting food? See what I'm saying? We pulled that thread of food insecurity, and it touches on everything else. One more. I want to give you this example of immigration, because 73% of the people that we are serving currently at Toco Hills Community Alliance are Spanish-speaking immigrants, which is really good that I speak Spanish now. Asylum seekers, in particular, I want to talk about. Very much here, legally, they are granted asylum status. However, they can't legally work without a work permit, and it takes about a year to get the work permit. So what are they supposed to do to feed themselves and their families for that year? Food insecurity touches on just about every social issue that we face. Hunger and food insecurity and poverty in general, it's what social scientists call wicked problems. Meaning they're issues that are multi-layered, multifaceted, difficult to solve. And the 700 families that I see every week at Toco Hills experience food insecurity, hunger, poverty, because of those multiple interconnected factors. And I would contend, in a state with a 100,000 person backlog for SNAP benefits, where the governor turned down free federal money for a summer program for food for children, and in a country where poverty is the 4th leading cause of death, I am personally confident in calling this indeed a wicked problem. It's science, and it's deeply spiritual and moral. So my friends, this is indeed where our moral imagination comes in. Where our moral imagination again comes in, where we dream together of a world where we all have have enough, where we have enough food, we have enough room, we have enough love, and we move toward that. And I have found that there are at least 3 movements on our journey to that world, I think. There may be more. You may see it differently. This is what my journey is leading me. We start first with freedom. Freedom. Now, those folks I see at Toco Hills, they're not just victims, by the way. They're not just victims. They are victors of sort. They're people who have broken free from tragic and traumatic situations, free from persecution, war, natural disasters, free from domestic violence, free from drug addiction. Or just free from the social stigma that says seeking help is a sign of weakness. They are free, and now they have to find ways to survive and thrive, so they come to us and we can share food with them and hope. The thing about freedom, though, and I know you know this, but I just have to say it. The thing about freedom, though, is that, as the poet Emma Lazarus said, until we are all free, none of us is free. Until we are all free, none of us is free. Until we are all free from state and school-sanctioned violence. Until we are free from the ravages of war. Until we are free to be who we are and love who we love, then none of us is truly free. The thing is, we have to help each other. We have to help each other to get free. We have to help each other along the way to get free. And then we have to find our ways to survive and thrive as a community so that everyone has everything that they need. And so we have to move from care to compassion. You see, we care for others. We give charity to others. Compassion. Compassion means to suffer with another. Compassion transcends. It transcends religion and culture, and it recognizes that we are all interconnected in mutuality. Now, as you heard, our official mission at Toco Hills, is that we are neighbors helping neighbors. And we do strive to live that out every day. Even as we shared over 1.2 million pounds of food to 65,000 neighbors last year. I'm glad that we could, it's not enough. The thing is, if those of us who have resources, and many of us in this room do, some of us don't, we don't know that. But if those of us who have the resources and we share them, that would go a long way to creating food security. The fact is that we really do have enough food for everyone in the world. We really do. But it's not just about the food that we share. It's not just about the food that we share. Our unofficial motto at Toco Hills is, it's about more than food. You see, we celebrate with our neighbors who have good news. We have neighbors who come to us and they miss our interns when they graduate and move on. And just a few months ago, we took time to mourn together an unhoused friend who passed away. And if we hadn't gathered, I don't know that anybody would have. It's about more than food. Even that's not enough, though. Generosity. Generosity, as wonderful as it is, and the thing about generosity is it benefits those who are being generous as well as the community. Yeah. It's not enough. It's not enough. In order to truly forge our way to food security for all, we are called to justice. We are called to justice. Sharing millions of pounds of food, like I just told you about, sharing millions of pounds of food as well as hope and life with thousands of our neighbors is great. It's great. And thousands of our neighbors should not need millions of pounds of food. I told the ancestors with me. I got Pentecostal ancestors. Thousands of our neighbors should not need millions of pounds of food. You may not be an amen congregation, but if you believe that, raise your hand. Amen. And so in this third movement, as we move from generosity to justice, as we recognize hunger and food insecurity and poverty as wicked problems, interconnected, affecting the already vulnerable harder, guess what happens? We realize that we, as a communal society, we have to find ways to address the problems together, to include all people. Yes, those of us, any of us who have any privilege and means, we should give. We should give from our excess. That's a good thing to do. We should be doing it. In fact, it's a little subversive to do so. It's a little subversive to redistribute the food and the wealth. Kind of like that part. But, let me say and at this point in my journey, I find that as important as that is, it is still not enough. It is not enough. The systems that we are all caught up in, still leave way too many behind. As the ever-growing numbers we serve at Toco Hills, we serve 3 times as many neighbors as we did when I started 6 years ago. We're leaving way too many behind. But here's something even more subversive than giving from what we already have. Our fullest humanity only happens when we make room for everyone. When our fullest humanity only happens when we make room for all of Earth's children at the welcome table. And I think it behooves us to remember that one of our greatest spiritual teachers was known to turn over a table if it excluded it anyway. We are likewise called to rule-breaking, risk-taking, crossing borders, removing barriers to move toward a real justice for all, the one that we dream up together. So we know Cinco de Mayo isn't Mexican Independence Day. It's not. It's a celebration of a time when a small group of Mexican farmers fought back against a French army that was larger and more well-equipped. And while my passive self does not want to glorify war, I think the message of a small group of people beating the odds for freedom and justice is encouraging. That is encouraging. Because we already know, the way is not always easy. And we likely will have even more questions on this way. We will have many more questions pointing us in a crooked line on that journey. And as close as I can get to a definitive right now is this. If we are ever to have any hope of solving a wicked problem like hunger, food insecurity, poverty, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, climate change, we will only do so if we dream and work together, all of us. So I leave us with the words of Mexican-American civil rights leader Cesar Chavez. There's no turning back. There's no turning back. We will win. We will win. We are winning because ours is a revolution of mind and heart. Blessed be. May it be so. Ashe, amen, and amen.
Thank you, Lisa. A compelling message. Our closing song is "This Land is Your Land," found in the Pink Book on page 74. Please rise and body for truth as you're willing worthy.
All right, we will, it goes on to the next page. We're going to sing that first verse that's on the second page too, because it talks about being hungry. At any rate, this land is your land, and here we go. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the golden water. This land will make you and me. As I went walking down the highway, I saw above me there in the skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land will make for you and me. I roamed and rambled and about my footsteps to the sparkling sands of this driving desert, and all around me a little valley. This land will make for you and me.
Our closing words, a friend of us all, Scott Hooker, once said in the First Team newsletter, a statement that really says it all. I just thought of this, about the importance of food. Scott is the master of understatement. And he said, quote, "Food and I go way back." Also, Black Moon of the Hunkpapa Lakota Sioux, that's a Sitting Bulls tribe. You are to use all your powers to care for your people, especially for the poor. This concludes our celebration of life today, so please go out with open generosity to all, especially those who are not as privileged as we. Carpe diem.